Okay, so how many of you have at one point complained that you're bored? I'm pretty sure all of you have. Today I'm going to talk about the quote by Homer saying, "For too much rest itself becomes a pain." Rest is a good thing. We all need it, especially being in college when we get stressed out and we want some downtime. But too much of it can cause an emotional and physical imbalance, which can actually make us unhealthy. On the physical side, too much rest and not exercise makes our body more tired faster, and it's actually a downward spiral because we're not exerting ourselves at all, so our body doesn't know what it's like to work. So if we actually do get up, we're a whole bunch more tired just by walking down the street than we would be if we were able to, if we got up and moved around a little bit more. As well as if anybody's laid in bed for too long, don't you know that ache in your back and you're just like, oh. Anyways, then there's also the emotional aspect. Now, spending too much time by yourself, resting or whatever, can also allow your mind to wander. And everybody knows that sometimes when you allow your mind to wander, you kind of can drive yourself crazy thinking about different things or whatever. It's a lack of social too, which could, it helps to be around other people, bounce ideas, you learn from people. In conclusion, rest is a good thing. We all need it. But to stay physically fit and to stay emotionally fit, we should all get out a little bit and make sure our rest is balanced with our being up and about. Thank you. Do you want this back?
No, thank you. That's your souvenir for the day. I like the audience survey that you start with. I think you make a nice transition to the quote that you've got, and you've got a very solid interpretation of it and the point that you're going to try and make there. So I think that's fine. I think you may have suggested what the preview was going to be, but it's not. Nothing is signposted, nothing is indicated. So it's an inference for us to assume that that is in fact the preview of the speech, and I think you need to make it a little bit more distinctive. In the body of the speech, you do have two distinct points. You're talking about the physical and the emotional, and that's okay. Once you've got those ideas, though, you don't really have much to say about either of them. It's very general, you're full of generalities on the first point, and on the emotional one, where I think you could easily plug in some personal experiences and illustrations, you don't really have anything like that you've included, so it stays at a very abstract level. And I think that undermines the interest level in your speech as a consequence. But there is an organization into those two parts, so that's helpful. Your voice projects pretty effectively. I think you've got good variety in the delivery. The pacing, you got a little bit stuck right at the end. You were having a hard time finding that exit. Gestures, look, you had some good indicative gestures and some sweeping gestures. They are set off a little bit by that page waving in your hand as you were gesturing with it in your hand, and it makes all that noise, and it's like just this extra flap of like a sailboat, where one of the sails has come a little bit loose instead of looking quite as graceful. It just looks a little bit out of control because of that big page that's hanging off at the end of your maw there. Yeah, your facial expressions seem pretty animated. I think you have pretty good eye contact with this part of the audience. You do stand at an angle and seem to be focusing over here, which I appreciate because this is where I am, but I'm not sure all the people on that side of the room are going to feel the same way. You want to include everybody, even the sleeping ones in the back of the room. You know, they need a little bit more attention too. All right. Thank you.